All right, so we're gonna get into the Latrice story. Now, this goes back into the early Planet, or I think maybe the MySpace days. So there was a video where I did a slither in St. Paul, kind of off Pierce Butler. I used to think I used to almost think we was on the east side because it's so far away. But because I didn't really go over there like that. I didn't really go over there. So I used to damn near think it was like the east side, but it's not. So I'm at home. I probably got DSL at this time. I'm thinking it's 02. It could have been, well, 01 I would have been graduating high school. So it probably was like, it was kind of afterwards. It was 02. It probably wasn't 03, but it was likely 02. Because remember, I always told you that story that it bothered me so much when I went with my homie to apply for a tech job that I knew I could have did. And the guy was telling me, you need your A+. So you should work in sales. I said, well, can't I be like an apprentice or whatever like that and just do a little bit of it? He said, man, you ain't gonna get nowhere without this A+. And I was just kind of like, damn, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's when I started printing out some business cards too. So I think it was 02. I started printing out some business cards because I was doing whatever I could, whatever somebody would let me work on their computer. So around this time, this particular time that this happened, around this time, within these 24 months, I remember buying a new CD burner. We gonna get to that in a minute. So I'm on the Planet. The space, it could have been 03. It very well could have been 03. It definitely wasn't. I don't believe it was 04 at all. I don't think it was 04. It could have been, but I don't believe it was 04. Now the story I told y'all with the West Side stories that I'm telling y'all, those might have been, they were probably between 02 and 04. Because I moved out my mom's house in 05. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't, in 05, I wasn't really going a bunch of places with my homies like that. I was kind of getting prepped to have a car, or, you know, I had my own spot. So I probably wasn't really going, at that time in 05, I probably wasn't really going over females' houses really all like that, not too much. I always had my own spot. And when I used to tell them I had my own spot when I finally got one, it'd be a big thing for them. They'd be like, damn, you got your own place? You ain't late? You ain't shacking up? No, I ain't, you know. So I meet this girl on the Planet, or even the MySpace, one or the other. I think it was one or the other. I think it was the Planet or something like that. I think it was. It could have been MySpace, but I think it was the Planet. So we talking on the phone through like IM, or we talking on IM, or at this point we might be talking on the phone. So she stayed out, I think she was from Frogtown, and she stayed out, she went to college in Wisconsin, but she was from St. Paul. And you know, she was very athletic, and, you know, she had a real nice figure around that time. So, you know, like, so we hanging out. Or not, we ain't hang out yet, but we, at this point, we just talking on the phone. So St. Paul's like a whole new adventure. And then she had a car.
Man, my cornrows looking raggedy.
Keep them. Don't take them down.
Why?
Because I want to take them down myself.
So she used to go out at this college. And so now, I guess we get to talking. And one day, she's like, well, man, I want to hang out with you, you know, on the weekend. You know, and, you know, at this point, this is my first time really actually, like, you know, you got to think, I'm very young. I'm like 19 or, you know, maybe 20. If that, I might be 18, 19. I'm not used to going over women's houses or for that matter, sleeping over, any of that kind of stuff. That might have been my first time actually being over their residence. I actually think that that was probably my first time sleeping over, you know, like being over at their residence. That wasn't something I did, you know, because you young. So I hop on the 16. I got like a little bag or something like that. And around this time, I had my cornrows. So, and they kind of look a little raggedy that day, but you know, because I wanted to get them done. And I said, man, I'm about to take these down, get them done. She didn't want me to take them down. She wanted to take them down, and you know, and all that kind of stuff. So they were looking raggedy and they need to be washed, and they kind of, you know, I'm like, damn, you know. So, but she's like, man, just keep them up, because she wanted to see them. So we didn't hang out before. So she's like, meet me in McDonald's, University in Snelling. So I grabbed my bag and I had my little stuff, and I have my stuff, and she picks me up on University in Snelling. So this is the first time I really saw her. The first time I really saw her was this time. And when I seen her, she didn't really get out the car or hug me or nothing like that. She just had me get in. So I'm still kind of like, because I don't really know her like that. So I'm not thinking nothing. I don't know what to think. I'm just kind of like, I'm not meeting a bunch of people and just jumping in a car online like that. And she felt comfortable. I was comfortable, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, man, I hope I ain't get chopped up somewhere. So
Didn't know you were evil.
So we drive into Wisconsin, and it's dark around this time, kind of once we get up in there. So I'm like, man, it's dark as hell. Like, I don't know where I'm at. It's in the middle of nowhere, it feels like. So, but that's where she goes to college at. She stays there during the week or whatever the case may be, and then probably goes back. So we hanging out. On our way there, I'm telling her, I said, man, you ain't gonna chop me up as you. I'm just cracking jokes or whatever like shit. She's like, baby, I ain't gonna do none of that. Like, you know, if you see if I came to come get you, because she could have probably came and picked me up. She may not have known where it was, where I stayed or whatever, but she's like, just meet me. And that's fair. She said, meet me halfway. Meet me, you know, because she probably wanted to kind of see what kind of person I was too or whatever. But I think we had already sent each other some pictures and stuff. I don't know how we got those pictures. We might have had a digital camera or something like that back then. So we hanging out. I think I get hungry, go to McDonald's of all places. That's what college kids eat. So, but I had already ate before I left or something like that. So we hanging out. I'm at her crib. Now, you're not supposed to have no men at her crib. But she had a roommate that was cool, looking out for it. So her roommate left for the weekend. So she left the dormitory open for, because the dormitories, the men and the women's dormitories, I think they all one dormitory, but you're not supposed to be up in the dorm. But don't nobody care. I guess they just, so she's like, so I'm gonna stay in your dorm. So I'm sitting there, I'm kicking it. We hanging out. And I think we just watching TV or whatever like that.
University and Snelling. Next stop.
Nervous?
A little.
Relax. You good.
You leaving your door unlocked like that?
Only for you.
Sit down. Let me get to work on these braids. Your hair's softer than I thought. Told you.
Freedom feel good, don't it?
Yeah. Now what we watching?
Whatever you pick. I'm off duty.
And she had got like a little bean bag, so she's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You know, she wanted to like kind of cuddle up or whatever like that. So, at one point, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think if we had something to drink. We might have, I don't know. But, you know, one thing led to another, and and so now she's really, at this point, kind of really getting real lovey-dovey and whatnot, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So she's like, man, I want to take your hair down and stuff like that, and play in it. So she wants to do all of this kind of stuff. I don't want her to take my hair down, but she starts doing it anyway. And I'm like, so, I tell her, I said, man, I'm getting hungry. So we go to McDonald's, and I go get something like a Big Mac or whatever like that. So, I'm just staying with her the weekend or whatever. So now, at some point, she dropped me off on Sunday or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And I think she bought the McDonald's, but so she's talking to me, and then, you know, like, she's really kind of liking me and stuff like that. So I think one time she wanted me, one day she wanted me to pick her up, or she wanted to pick me up or whatever. But I think this was going to be back at her house in St. Paul or whatever the case may be. Her people were gone. And so I guess one day, I don't know if I wanted to go or whatever like that, but, you know, she kind of got mad, like, man, you ungrateful as hell, like, this, that, and the third, and all this, I done came and got you, blah, 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 whatever. And I said, well, I can give you your money back if you don't want it. She's like, no, you know what I'm saying? You know, I want to spend time. So
Came and got your ass. You don't appreciate me.
Patrice, I can pay you back. I was wrong.
Yeah, you were.
That boy apologized to me. That's a real man right there, boo. That means he's standing on his word.
Mm-hmm. You so extra.
And you loving it. Quit playing.
Whatever.
Acting like you don't want me.
So I think I oblige and whatever. And then, you know, we you know, I go over to her house. You know, her people were gone, so she had a room. So I go over there to her house, and, you know, we hanging out, you know, do what we typically do and whatnot. And then, you know, and you know, she kind of like, she's driving around St. Paul.
You did this?
Yeah.
Place looking good, Treese.
Mm-hmm. But you still limping. That foot acting up?
A little bit. I'll be straight.
Nah, you gonna have to stay here a few days, let it chill.
I might take you up on that.
Little.
Relax. You good.
And then she brings me home, calls me up. So later on, I ended up, she ends up like getting her own place around that place, around like the Pierce Butler and whatnot. And around this time, I had this, if y'all ever had an ingrown toe, it's one of the most painful things in the world. You could barely do anything. So I'm kind of limping around until I could get to the doctor and figure out what needs to be done or whatever. But on this particular day, she wants to pick me up. But I don't want to go nowhere. I don't want to do nothing or whatever like that. So, you know, I tell her, you could come by the house and you could hang out. I said, but, you know, she had, you know, but I just didn't really want to pick her, you know, I didn't want her to pick me up. So she basically was kind of like, you know, I want, you know, I'm about to pick you up anyway. So she came by, and then she came by the house and stuff like that. And
You wrong for that.
What? I'm just saying.
And you still can't drive slow.
I drive perfect.
Perfectly reckless.
One day I'm gonna let you steer.
Don't play.
Last ride,
Split it.
so she's like, man, come with me or whatever. She got mad because I didn't want to go or whatever. So she was on some kind of like, well, I ain't gonna leave until you leave with me or whatever. So I leave with her, you know what I'm saying? And then we, eventually she was like, well, you know, I said, yeah, I said, when you gonna drop me all back at home? She said, I ain't dropping you off. So I said, then you know my foot all messed up. I'm limping and stuff. How am I gonna get back home? She said, you ain't coming back home. So she pretty much kidnaps me for the weekend or whatever like that. She don't let me, you know what I'm saying? So now she had a homegirl too. So my homie was with me at the house when she had called me. We were probably at the house, you know, looking up mixtapes or something like that. And so she's like, well, I got a homegirl too. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, my homie's like, man, let's go. Like, and I was like, bro, I don't want her to come over here. So I was telling him, because she was kind of getting on my nerves, and I didn't want to go nowhere because my foot was in so much, you know. And she's like, man, what's wrong with your foot? I said, man, it's messed up. Like, I can't do nothing. She's like, man, I can help you. I'm a massage your toes. I'm gonna do all this kind of stuff. So I just don't want to go. I'm in so much damn pain. I can't do nothing, man. I'm in severe pain. I should have went to the doctor. I should have told her, bring me to the doctor. So I didn't. So when she comes and picks us up, they bring us over there by Pierce Butler. I'm thinking I'm on the east side. Like, man, this shit way far away.
This the one I've been hearing about?
Depends what you heard.
You real quiet.
I'm just chilling.
You always just chilling with something up.
Your boy always like that? Only when he thinking too much.
You acting different.
I'm not.
You are.
I just don't want to mess nothing up.
Well, look who finally made
Had to
it.
park that 98 like it's gold.
Come
That's
on
my boy
in.
Lance. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Mindy, this Lance.
Hey.
What's up?
Y'all bring the cold in with you.
Chicago Nights. Gotta come prepared.
You from the South, still ain't used to it.
Man, don't let him fool you. He the one
My place
shivering.
all right?
Place looking.
Because now her place where her people stayed at, it wasn't that far. But I'm not knowing the lay of the land that much in those blocks, Frogtown, and near North and all that. I've been over on Rice before, and I've been there through the bus or whatever. But I'm not knowing these blocks like this. So I'm thinking, like I'm by Pierce Butler, like the little project. I'm thinking that I'm kind of so. I get over there, and she got clean places. It's pretty big, but it's like a 2-bedroom. So my homie, he go off into the other room with the other, or no, I think it was a one. So I think she gave my homie, and I don't know why, but she gave my homie and her homegirl the bed.
P, they sleep.
My foot hurt.
Now, baby, you can't have me over here like this.
My foot.
You act like your foot will fall off. Please, DP, don't leave me hanging. At least try.
Or something like that, or either gave them the, I think they gave them the bed or something like that. And eventually, I think they must have went to sleep, and I'm sitting over there just kind of, my toes just radiate. It's in so much pain and all this. And so now, she's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? They sleep. You know what I'm saying? So I told her, I said, man, I can't do nothing. She said, man, she said, you can't have me over here like this. So she's basically telling me like, man, I didn't bring you over here for you to just be, and I'm like, girl, I'm in so much, and it was embarrassing because I really didn't want to say what it was or whatever. I'm like, man, this is ingrown. She said, man, you act like your foot about to fall off. I said, man, I couldn't even barely sleep. Like, it was in so much pain. And she's like, man, come on, like, they sleep. Like, so she basically wanted to get knocked down, you know what I'm saying? And so I said, man, I ain't gonna be no good or whatever. She said, man, at least try, like I can't. She said, I can't be sleeping around you like this, like, So she's in her mind, she was kind of wanting to ignore what I had to got going on. I'm like, man, this shit painful as hell. It was the most embarrassing thing. Like, I didn't even want to tell her. Like, when I told my homeboy before I got picked up, I said, bro. I said, man, should I tell her, bro? Like, this is embarrassing, and she probably think I got gout or some bullshit. She's like, man, just tell her, bro. I said, man, this shit's so embarrassing. Because, so we laid on the floor and everything. And every floor off, and I'm looking up at her. She's like, man, no, they sleep. She said, don't worry. They sleep. Like, come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? So she's steady pulling on me and doing all this. And so eventually, she brings me home. She drops me at my home. She drops me at home. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what happened to my homeboy, whether she drops me at home or whatever. And, I noticed the next couple weeks and stuff, I'm out and about and stuff like that. And I'm doing my thing. And she steady calling me up. And I'm like, bro, why she acting so crazy? He said,
Tell her about my foot yet.
Man, just tell her. That ain't a big deal.
Yeah.
Hello? You up?
Yeah, what's up?
You good? You been quiet today.
I'm cool, just working.
Don't be hiding from me.
I ain't.
Where you at?
Yeah.
What you doing?
Hello.
You good?
Why she keep calling me like this? You got her hooked.
man, shit, you done hit her with that mule, bro. He said, I'm still young. She said, man, she acting crazy as hell. She's like, man, you probably done laid it on her, and she was just doing, she started popping up at the crib. She just started, she got a little disrespectful to a certain degree or whatever, but
You wasn't expecting me, huh?
Not even a little. What's up?
You kept going to voicemail, so I pulled up.
Been tied up. You good?
I'm good. You?
Trying to be. You want to come in?
Yeah. I don't see you enough.
Been hustling.
Well, that hustle needs to include me.
it was, she just she just wanted to be around me or whatever, like, but we ended up kind of stopped talking over time because, You know, I don't know. Like I say, she didn't really do nothing to me or whatever like that. But that was my college dorm story, man. That was my college dorm story. But, the main more part of this story is the tech part.
And you really about to copy the whole city.
Somebody got it.
That joint clean, though.
Patrice fine, bro. You better see what she want.
Yeah.
During this time, I went to CompUSA and I got a 32X CD burner. Man, let me tell you, that cut my burning down by at least 70%. The time. Because you got to think, when somebody wants a mixtape, you get an order, you got to make the mixtape and all this kind of stuff like that. You make the CDs they want. And then we got to jump back on the bus to get on Lake Street, which would be the 7 and the 19. If we need to get somewhere like on 26th and Lake, we will hop on the 7. The 7 runs a little slower. If we got to get over north, we typically take the 19 and just go downtown. Or what we do is we walk up to the 16. 16 gets you downtown super fast. And once you got to 16, you can walk up to the 5 and transfer. So we did a lot of that, man. We were transferring, and then I go back to the crib where I might make an order, whatever the case, whatever it is. That's what we would do, man. That was our hustle. That's how we was living. You know what I'm saying? But you know, like, so later on, I must have got in contact with the girl, and I started kind of doing the computer repair. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of didn't, you know, we didn't really like, it wasn't like a rekindle or nothing like that, but we still had a lot of respect for each other. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like, you know, there wasn't nothing, you know, nothing bad happened. We didn't do nothing to each other. We didn't, you know, but we still had like a respect level. So, you know, like, but sometimes like my guys would be like, man, what happened to, you know what I'm saying? What happened to St. Paul or whatever? Like, man, why didn't y'all, you know, do what? And I said, man, I don't know, bro. I said, I just think, you know, it's a time and a season for everybody. So the dormitory story, that's what this is going to be called, the dormitory story with the 32X burner. Because the 32X burner, okay, let's dig in the files. It was around it's around $50, 50 or $60. Because I remember when she called me like, hey, well, I'm trying to come see you. I'm trying to come get you. And I'm like, man, why this girl acting like this? And he's like, bro, you probably done struck a nerve. I said, bro, I'm telling her, I said, look, I gotta install a burner. I gotta go get some money and stuff like that. But she was like, I'm trying to come get you. And I'm like, well, you gonna have to wait. And she had a little attitude about it, like she wanted to see me. But I was telling her, I said, I gotta get some money first. I gotta do something. She said, oh, I'll give you some money. But she wanted me to stop what I was doing, and I wasn't gonna do that. So I basically told her, hey, listen, just come get me later or whatever like that. So she was a little upset, but so I was like, I'm telling my homie, like, man, this crazy, bro. I said, what if I was at work? He said, well, if you was at work, bro, she figured you ain't working, you just hustling. I said, what's the difference? I'm making money. She said, but she figured that you should just drop what you doing and get your money later. And I said, I ain't gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? He said, you could have just went and got a quickie bag and got back out on the block. I'm like, man, I'm not about to do that. I said, when I go over there, I'm gonna be over there. You way over here on Pierce Butler. You know what I'm saying? She's not gonna, once she come get me, she ain't gonna come drop me off. You know how she is. I'm kidnapped. I'm gonna be over there. So, you know, but that was a funny story, man. That was funny. I'm trying to think of what the next one would be. You'll probably get about 2 or 3 AI videos with this.